Jazz here, and I am so digging the GeekCast radio network.
Greetings, humans. This is Starscream, and you're listening to ToyCast. And if any of you call me a parts-former one more time...
Now, ToyCast. Oh, yes. Listen in to the only toy podcast you will ever need.
Hello and welcome to an all-new generation of ToyCast as we get the origins of any and all toy fans that we can. I'm, of course, TFG and Mike, and joining me today is... someone I've known for about 2 years or so. We've done one podcast together before, about 2 years ago. It was called Pop Goes the Funko, and it is that Poppin Off Toys creator, Mr. Wes Howard. Hello, sir.
How we doing, Mike?
It's way too hot. Way too hot, and apparently there's a train in the background. Yay! And we are here, as I said, to get Wes's toy origins, and hopefully he doesn't give 2-hour answers to these 42 questions, because if that was the case, we'd be here for, 80 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. What is or was the first toy you remember having as a kid?
Oh, man. So my earliest memories of toys have to be the oh my goodness! The wrestling figures, the LFG. It's not LFG. I just forgot the name, but the big, non-movable, rubber.
Yeah.
LJN.
Yeah.
Yes, LJN. Goodness, I could not think of that. I had a ton of them, and I still have them in my attic right now. But I spent days upon days upon days playing with these things constantly.
Awesome. Was there a particular adult who was supportive of you playing with toys as a kid? Was there anyone who was unsupportive?
No, I always remember my mom just encouraging me to play and to have imagination. I mean, I would go deep with my toys. I would do full-on movies and sequels and 3 and 4. Like, I would just go deep. And my mom always encouraged my imagination. So, and I don't ever remember anyone telling me, hey, don't play with toys or anything like that.
What types of toys were your favorites to play with?
Oh, it had to be the wrestling figures. I mean, when I say it was constant, it was I would do pay-per-views. I would line them up in match cards. I'd go the whole 9 yards with them.
Awesome. What were your favorite childhood toys that really stood out more than others? So was there, besides the wrestling ones, was there something else that stood out? Like, you're like, oh, I'm a this kind of toy kid versus playing with GoBots or something.
Yeah, I had a lot of G.I. Joe. I remember playing a lot of G.I. Joe guys, and I remember getting, we'd see my cousin from Texas once a year, and we'd always bring our G.I. Joes and just, play G.I. Joes constantly together. So, yeah, I also was pretty big into G.I. Joe.
Awesome. Do you prefer the label of action figures, dolls, toys, or other labels?
Has anyone ever answered dolls to this question?
Well, we've only been doing this since episode 102, so I don't think so.
Action figures, my man.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Good guys or bad guys? Which toys were your favorites to play with the most?
So like Snake Eyes was like one of my favorites. I realized he was a good guy, but he was a bad good guy. He was like, I guess I liked kind of the neutral guys. Like Macho Man, Randy Savage was always my favorite. And he kind of went back and forth. He was kind of the good, bad guy. So Man, I'm gonna land right smack in the middle on this one.
What is or was your favorite toy vehicle or playset?
Okay, I remember having the AT-AT walkers from Star Wars, and I remember having that thing walk all over the house, and the side opened up, and you could have all your guys inside of it. So I play with that thing constantly.
Awesome. This is a silly question because I used to do this as a kid, but did you and your friends ever pretend with your toys that you had? By this, I mean, did you say, I'm going to be this toy and you can be that toy? Like, I'm going to be the Coke bottle top and you can be the piece of glass kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. We did full-on movies. Like I said, when I got my cousin, I remember we did a G.I. Joe movie, and then we even did a sequel the next day, and like the story picked right up after the ending. Like, I'm a big imagination guy.
I'm sure they were probably better than the G.I. Joe movies we got currently.
I'm going to agree with that.
What features define a good toy to you? How true does the item feel in comparison to the source material likeness?
So I'm a big visual guy, and I think when you look at something, if it hits you, the nostalgia that takes you back, hits you visually, that's it for me. That's all I need. I have, my collectibles and my toys, I have them set up so I can see them. That's how I enjoy them most, especially at my age. As a kid, I enjoyed them most by playing with them, articulation, everything. But now as an adult, it's visual for me because that's what takes me back to those fond memories.
Awesome. What does toy packaging have to draw you in? So you're, of course, nowadays you can't go into any store and actually find toys on shelves. But besides one store in Nashville, Tennessee, that is, of course, you have to be a Funko fan for that one. So, in general, when you are collecting toys, when you're hunting for toys, specifically at stores, what is it about the packaging that draws you in?
Okay, good example of this. Right now, they are releasing, and usually it's for SDCC, but this year, whatever. They're doing a WWE Elite figure of Sergeant Slaughter. Normally, I probably would not pick up this figure because I try to keep my Elite figures down to the people that molded my childhood the most. Now, Sergeant Slaughter was certainly there, but he's not one of the top guys that I remember. But the packaging for this figure is just like the LJN. It looks like that packaging did, and I have to have this, and I will not open it up because seeing that packaging brings me joy. So the packaging has to take me back. If I'm looking for, current toys, if I'm looking with my son, I'm not worried really about the packaging, more worried about the function. All right, is he going to be able to play with it? How's he going to be able to play with it? But for me to buy a toy, the packaging has to resonate with me. So, yep.
Absolutely. Do you open your toys or do you leave them packaged? If you keep toys packaged, do you have a specific criteria for that?
Well, right now, I'm looking at a shelf that has Elite figures out of package and Elite figures in the package. So I hate to be both, but I am both. Like I have, I'm looking at Demolition, which is they're in the package, and that's because those things cost me a pretty penny. They're in the package. Both of them are down dead. But ones that there's a bunch of, like I have a Macho Man out of the package and Miss Elizabeth. I like to set them up. So my Macho Man is right next to Miss Elizabeth, and Mean Gene Okerlund has a mic sticking it in his face. I set up scenes with these guys.
There you go. That is awesome. If as a kid or an adult you only were allowed to choose one toy franchise to collect from, which one would you choose and why?
You said as an adult or as a kid?
Yeah, kid or an adult. If your parents said, okay, Timmy, you can only have Transformers. You can only have wrestlers. You can only have one franchise to collect from.
I mean, as a kid, I'll choose WWF all day long. As an adult, golly, probably. Well, probably gotta say Pixar because that's kind of what I'm, into the most with my kids now. But yeah, WWF.
See, I would just cheat and say Funko because they have everything.
I didn't know that was a answer, so I'll say Funko.
As an adult, do you prefer vintage toys or modern toys?
Yeah, I don't get into I had Masters of the Universe growing up, but I'm not going out and seeking to get the current Masters of the Universe, even if it looks vintage or not. So that's tough for me. I guess vintage because that Sergeant Slaughter packaging I was like, gotta have it, So, I guess vintage.
Cool. Now, by this, we mean an actual action figure, folks. What is one toy you can always play with? So what is one thing in your collection that you'd be like, oh, I can, take that out of the box or take it off the shelf and always just enjoy fiddling with it because I played with it as a kid?
Well, I hate to have the same answer for
the WWF.
I still have these LGN. I get them down for my son every now and then to look with, and I'll just pick them up and it's like, here's how I used to play. Now, boom, and he takes him and he slams him against the ropes. 1, 2, 3, we have a new champion. I'm instantly back in it.
Awesome. Even though there are always toy lines that people never purchase, are there any that you specifically and purposefully avoid? This can be toy lines, specific characters, that kind of stuff.
I specifically avoid mashups. It's just not my thing. I don't care for my WWE wrestlers to be zombified. That has nothing to do with what I grew up with or what I enjoyed. And I realize some collectors love that stuff, and that's great. I'm no fault for making them. It's just not my thing. So mashups, I don't need Skeletor, on Panthro or something, it's just not my thing.
So you're not a Masters of the WWE fan?
Yeah, I garbage, but they're highly collectible, crazy enough. So someone smarter than me knows what they're doing.
Are there any toys in the past or currently that you wish you hadn't bought them? Are there any toys that you may have sold that you regret letting go?
I'm pretty specific on what I buy now. And I guess some of the early pops I had that are now worth way more than I sold them for. I guess that applies, but once I buy something, I don't buy it to sell it. I buy it to hold on to it. So yeah, kind of, and not many regrets. Now, the one regret I do have is buying a pop for $500 that's now worth $15.
All right. Oh, this is not. So for those that don't know, because I didn't really introduce this part of Wes and I's relationship or how I found him, Wes owns a business. Wes started this business about 6 years ago or so called Poppin Off Toys. PoppinOffToys.com. Go now. If you're a Funko fan, Wes has everything that is not exclusive to stores that you can possibly, he has most everything for Funko. So this question does include your Funko part, but I'm just I can't even imagine what your answer is going to be to this. How large or small is your toy collection? Do your toys take up the whole house, or are they relegated to one room, shelf, or something like that?
Well, before I moved my business out of my home, It was thousands upon thousands. But yeah, up in my man cave. And once as you come up the stairs, the wall is completely full with Pixar Pops, Funko Pops. And then once you come in, you see a little desk that my wife uses. And then there's a shelf and a smaller shelf next to it. And that is where my Harry Potter Lego and Harry Potter Funko Pops and other kind of little Harry Potter knickknacks go. And they all have a specific place and how they get there and how they go there. Across from it, my daughter's Barbie Dream House, a bunch of Barbies. There's 3 more shelves, and they are full of Game of Thrones Funko Pops, Breaking Bad Funko Pops, WWE Funko Pops, and WWE Elite figures, and then my Holiday and Parks and Rec Pops. So yeah, there's a bunch up here, but we regulate it to the man cave. Like, you're not going to walk down and see my action figures and Funko Pops in the living room.
It's so funny you say that, because Karen pointed out to me several times within the last 2 or 3 years that we've been together 4 years this coming August, and there was a Redfin listing, house for sale.
Yeah.
In the kitchen, there were like 10 Funko Pops on a shelf, and I'm like, oh my god, really? The people, the real estate agent didn't tell you to put those away, so not to scare people off from buying your house? That's hilarious. Cool. How do you keep track of your collection if you do?
There's a site called Pop Price Guide or HobbyDB.com, and I have them inputted in there. But that's specifically for Funko items. My Elite figures, I keep track of them in my mind. Like, there's probably 40 of them. It's not like this great.
Yeah.
So I don't need anything for that.
You've mentioned where some of your stuff is in the man cave, but how do you like to display them? Do you put certain pops with, like, do you mix I know you're not a fan of mashups, but like, it's okay if Woody is standing next to Stone Cold Steve Austin. No.
So there's one wall, and that is Pixar only, and they are up there by specific movie. So Toy Story 1's together, Toy Story 2 is together, Toy Story 3's together, Toy Story 4's together, and then Toy Story is all together too. So, it is a pain in the ass when a pop comes out from a movie and everything has to shift. Yes. I've got to get Luca up there right now. So yeah. And then on the other side of the room in the shelves, everything's together. Game of Thrones is all together. Back to the Future is all together. Right. And WWE's together, and The Office is together and stuff. Yeah. No, they've got to be with what matches for me to enjoy it. I could not just have them just smorgasbords together.
It's only because of the lack of space, and I haven't actually put any shelving up, but I can look over on because half of actually a good 95% of my pops are still in storage, but the ones that I have bought out here, I can see Bob from What About Bob is on top of Comic Book Guy, who is on top of Kevin Smith, the director, and then John Wick is on top of Clark Griswold in the station wagon. So, all right. I need to organize a little better. Okay, so this is something I asked over on the pull bag for comics. This is where this question comes from. Everybody is safe. You're safe, your wife's safe, the kids are safe, the pets are safe, everybody's safe. But the house is on fire. What's one toy you'd run in to save?
I'm going to come get Flocked Lotso, and if I had time, Flocked Sully.
Wow.
They are pups. Yeah.
Wouldn't even save yourself, huh?
Well, I thought you said everybody was safe.
Well, save yourself. I mean, it's you are now popped. So
so the house is going under. All my family's safe. Everybody's healthy. It's okay. And they're like, you can run in and grab one object. That's what I would grab.
Awesome. All right, here's the Toy Box Challenge. You get one 18 by 18 by 18 box. The only toys you can keep have to fit in the box. What can you pack into it?
Oh my gosh. And not much.
Oh, come on.
18 by 18 by 18 box?
Yeah.
Dude, these Funko Pop boxes, I mean, that's probably going to carry 10 of them. So I'm grabbing my, wow, crap, dude. I got to get my LJN figures. Yep. Oh, man. Oh, that's tough, dude. I would probably, I would let the current Elite figures go because I'm going to grab some of my LJNs. Mm-hmm. And then I would grab, I guess I'd grab some loose pops. I'd say forget the box, and I would just grab some loose pops. So I can get quite a few in there without the boxes.
Awesome. And as we've already figured out, he is one of these, but question 22, and it's sad. You're the first guest so far. Everybody says either I'm not into it or I have a healthy respect for it, but it's not my thing. Obviously, with you, hello, you run a business. Are you a Funko fan? Yes,
I would say I bet my life on my fandom of it.
Yes. So why don't you tell the story? Since we know that you are a Funko fan, tell the story of the online business, getting the story. Tell your whole 6-year journey.
Yeah. I'll try to do it pretty quick. So basically, 6 years ago on my birthday, a friend of mine brought me a Funko Pop. It was of Walter White in his underwear from the show Breaking Bad. My son, who was 3 at the time, ripped it open. And, of course, I knew no better. I was like, what is this thing? I was like, oh, man, it's this thing. It's called a Funko Pop. So I was like, it's pretty cool. I love this show. It looks like him. It's great. A couple days later, I decided to look online and see if they make any other characters from the show. And they did. And I actually saw on, Good Morning, whatever, one of the Good Morning shows. I just happened to be walking through. And they were doing you think your Star Wars toys from your childhood are, they're very valuable now. Here's some toys that right now could be valuable later. And one of their examples was a Funko Pop. So that got me interested. So I started looking them up and started, buying them. And I've never been a collector ever in my life. Thought collecting was kind of stupid, actually. Something about these things flipped a switch for me. And I started collecting. And I just quickly fell in love with the whole process of this. So started collecting then, because I worked at a nonprofit. I was like, well, we don't have extra money, so let me sell some so I can have money to then buy other ones that I wanted, some that maybe have a little more value. Started doing that, had a little knack for selling them, and then decided, all right, let me sell some on eBay. So I started selling some on eBay, and then a company reached out on eBay and said, hey, you want to ever buy these wholesale, let us know. And I said, well, what does that even mean? They told me what it meant. I went and got a business tax license, got an account with them, started buying from them. And then I said, well, why am I paying them extra? Let me just contact the company that makes these things. Mm-hmm. Contacted Funko, beat their door down. They sent me what I needed. I applied. They approved me. I got a rep. I started buying from Funko. Then I was like, well, I'm sick of delivering these things to local people. Let me get a website. I mean, I literally would post on Facebook, like, who wants one? And they say, I do. And I would drive it to their house. And they would give me $10. And I was making nothing.
Jeez.
But anyway, I decided, well, I mean, if I want to sell to other people, I need a website. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I need a name. Well, my wife used to tell me, quit popping off. She'd tell me, quit popping off. Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, Funko Pop, Poppin Off Toys. Poppin Off Toys, that's it. Let's do it. I had a coworker's husband make me a logo. And, my vision was I want an explosion in the words Poppin Off Toys in the middle of the explosion. Kind of like a cartoon explosion almost. Mm-hmm. So got that. Then went to Wix.com, got a simple little website, set it up, started selling. It did pretty good. Outgrew that in about a year, got a Shopify site, and made some, very lucky relationships with some groups and some influencers. And it just kind of went from there. Take one small step each time I could. And now, I'm 5 years into this. I've been told I'm one of the top national brands for Funko Pops. And, we're on track to demolish all sales goals that we've ever set.
That is awesome. So you went from the website to actually having a store. Now, how did that happen?
Yep. Yeah, I kind of left that out. So did it out of my home for the first 5 years and loved it. Wanted to be here. The point was to see my kids grow up, to be there with them. But the garage was completely full. I worked at the garage every day. I had, employees come into the garage each day. We had 2 storage units. I had to go to these storage units 3 to 4 times a day. And I was like, all right, man, something's got to give. And one of my employees, their brother used to work in this little space that they don't work there anymore. And they said, hey, it's empty. Why don't y'all go look at it? So we took a look, and price was right because of COVID. And we took it and made the jump to a retail store. The reason why we did it was to be able to ship out worldwide. The retail store side, I was like, man, that's cool. If I can just make $2,000 a month in sales in the retail store, I'll be okay. I never dreamed this retail store would be big as it is. It is just absolutely just crushing. I mean, all the work I did in the Nashville community, is now paying off. It wasn't just, out of the blue, here I am. I paid my dues, build my name up, but like people were ready for it and they needed it. And it's been just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like recently. I was actually shocked. I haven't posted these pictures online yet, but as I mentioned earlier, you go into almost any Walmart, there's no Transformers. I mean, you're lucky if there is. There's no Transformers. There's never any, once in a blue moon, there's G.I. Joes in Walmart. And so I went in, and I just I don't collect actual action figures. The only 2 non-Funko things I have currently right now is a 3D printed Grogu that a buddy of mine made, and I recently just bought the Hot Wheels Knight Rider Super Pursuit Mode car. It's the first time I've had a Hot Wheels car in at least 30 years. So I go into Walmart, and I just like to see, oh, hey, I'm out in Vancouver, Washington at this Walmart, and these are the toys that are here if anyone's in the area kind of thing, and there's never anything at this Walmart. So I go over to the electronics section, expecting it to be empty, and Snake Eyes just released. Was not expecting... an entire, I could have bought all of them. I could have bought the entire collection of G.I. Joe Funko Pops. They had 2 of every figure, and all of them are Walmart exclusives. And I'm like, okay, I like G.I. Joe, I do, but I'm more of a Transformers guy, and that's fine. I had just gotten, the other day, before this happened, I was never expecting most GameStops to still have the lunchbox. You know when they do the special exclusive boxes. A couple years ago they did Disney Afternoon. I think what was it, last year or this year, whatever. They had the Transformers G.I. Joe one. Yep. Well, these are the blind boxes, and I hate blind boxes. It's a whole other discussion we can get into, but I'm not a fan of those. If I want a figure, sell it to me, and that's fine. I don't care. So I grabbed one of the lunch boxes, and I'm like, I'm hoping to get Megatron, but, it is what it is. I ended up with Cobra Commander and Optimus Prime, but I had already had an Optimus Prime because one of our fans had sent me one.
You're right.
Yeah, so as soon as I go into the Walmart the next week or the next month or whatever it was here recently, and I see all these G.I. Joes, and I'm like, oh, there's 4 different Baronesses here. Let me just check the boxes, make sure there's no major box damage and what. Oh, okay. So yes, I now have Cobra Commander and the Baroness, and those are the only 2 G.I. Joe Pops I need.
There you go.
But it's just one of those things where these things, for me, I also collect the ones where it's, the ad icons to me Funko is the best at ad icons, because you don't see toys of the ad, Trix Rabbit or Count Chocula or Boo Berry or the little sweet from Diet Dr. Pepper, Justin Guarini. When did he ever get an actual toy? I'm sure somebody out there listening will say, oh, well, he did have blah, blah, blah. It ain't the same as a Funko Pop.
Right. Yeah.
It just ain't the same. What was the most money you ever spent on a toy?
I guess, man. Outside of the business, because I'm spending $4,000.
Outside of the business, that a toy for yourself for your collection kind of thing. Yeah.
$700.
What was that?
Well, it was flocked Lotso. I had just got sniped on an eBay auction for that price.
Oh, no.
And so a friend saw another one up and grabbed it for $700, and then he basically gave it to me in return for $700 worth of pops. So essentially, yes, I spent $700.
Wow.
Yeah, but this was a 2-year journey to get this pop. It was, oh my gosh, I have lost so many raffles for this pop. One time I had 7 of the 10 spots for this pop. It's still lost. It was becoming this epic tale. So it did me pay $700. I was like, screw this. I have to get this done.
Right.
It's always been my ultimate grail. So that is by far the most. And then, I spent $5. Oh, this is so embarrassing. So I found this girl in Macari who had a bunch of Game of Thrones. I was going to buy her entire collection, but she had the metallic Children of the Forest. I was like, hey, I want that for my collection. Tell you what, I will pay you what you're asking for that one, and then I want this huge discount on the rest of them. So she agreed. So essentially, I did pay $500 for metallic Children of the Forest, and then I bought the rest of her collection for way cheaper, way less it's worth. But HBO found another 3,000 to 4,000 of those pops in a warehouse.
Oh no!
They released them on the website, and then season 8 was horrible, and that pop is worth $15 today. So,
boy,
yep. Hey, this is a game. You win some, you lose some. I have won way many more times than I've lost, but those are one story I'm proud of. One that, hey, it's unfortunate, but it happened.
Yeah. So you kind of just answered the next question. What was the cheapest toy you bought? What was the best deal you ever got for a figure that may have been worth quite a bit more than
here we go. I got a good one. So,
okay.
Just started collecting pops. I was, I was still in the phase of every place we went, I had to Funko Pop hunt at college. You have Funko Pops, So I went and saw my mom down in my old hometown, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go pop hunting. Y'all hang out. So I went to one store. They didn't have anything. And I asked them, hey, is there any other stores? And they mentioned like this hole-in-the-wall place in a different city. I called him up. I said, do y'all have any Funko Pops? And, of course, he had no clue what those were. So you have to explain it. And then they're like, oh, yeah, that bobblehead thing. Yeah, I've got, let's see, a Dr. Doom. And I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. So I found this guy's place, walked in there. He had like 7 pops, but he had Dr. Doom, Reggae Rasta, Purple Haze. I mean, this guy had gold, and he wanted $12 each. So I happily paid $12. I spent $81 for these pops, and walked out of there with, I think it was like $850 worth of value.
Wow.
So that was probably the biggest score I've had in the collecting game.
Wow. Now, this was obviously before COVID, and I know that people are starting to open back up and everything else, and I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. Vaccination is not cure, folks. That's all I'll say about that. Yes, it's great that the people that do vaccinate, is great that we have less of a chance of catching it, but it's not a cure.
No.
So this question was written obviously before COVID happened. Do you visit toy shows or conventions? When you visit these places, do you have a typical methodology? Do you bring a certain amount of money for what you're looking for, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So, now I only do it. I haven't done it obviously since COVID, but now I would only do it when I have a booth and I'm selling. But before I've been to San Diego Comic-Con. It was one of the worst 3 days period that I've ever had. I'm just not a guy that wants to sit in line for an hour to hear someone talk about a trailer they're about to release. Like I wait, just see the trailer on YouTube 10 minutes.
Yep.
So like, I just doesn't excite me. And if that excites you, that's great. That's totally fine. It's just not my thing. So I'll go down to the seller's, alley, and I will just walk it, see all the cool stuff, walk it for hours, and then I'll start narrowing down what I want to purchase. Most time now it's me purchasing stuff for the business and whatnot. But me as a collector, that'd be the same thing. Walk it many times, and then start narrowing down. All right, got it down to this, and this, and then start making my selections from there.
Very cool. Very cool. What do you think it is about our generation let me start that over. What do you think it is about our generation that causes our childhood toys to mean so much more to us, for instance, than, say, our parents' generation?
Yeah, we were kind of the first generation where, our dads really like showed like actual love, like said the words "I love you." Like my parents, my mom's dad, great man, but she could never remember him saying the words "I love you," and she knew that he loved her, but like they just don't show affection. So right. I don't think, whenever it was their turn to have kids, they wanted to make sure their kids were loved and felt happiness, and I think the technology had kind of got to a point where these cool little toys were coming out and being mass produced much easier and being made, way, many places than ever before. And so I think those are just some really good times for a lot of us as a kid playing with these G.I. Joe and Masters Universe and just WWE, just all the stuff that it brings us back to our childhood. Childhood is innocence, and you don't get that back. And so being able to reconnect with that innocence, it's a powerful feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your motivation for purchasing toys? To display, to play, to fiddle? Describe your collecting style. Are you a completionist, a storyteller, a cherry picker, or otherwise?
I am a completionist display. But I have found the strength to not be a 100% completionist on some things. I can justify in my mind saying I'm only going to collect the WWE wrestlers from my childhood. So I do not have to collect the CM Punk and all that. Let those go and be fine. Pixar, I'm a completionist. I have every Pixar pop ever made. Back to the Future, Breaking Bad, completionist. But I'm getting to a point with like The Office and some of that where I can say, you know what, I just want to collect some of my favorite scenes and obviously favorite characters. I don't need 36 Dwight Schrutes at this point. So I have mastered the skill of being able to be a completionist that fits my justifications for completionists.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Like with Funko, I don't collect I have, and I don't have any disrespect for the show. I've seen 20 minutes of the first seasons of the pilot episode, but I have zero interest in Game of Thrones Funko Pops. So that's something I will not like. Just because I'm a Funko collector doesn't mean I collect everything that Funko puts out, because if I did that, this 2-bedroom apartment would be basically on Hoarders next week. Right. So have you ever purchased a toy for a child with the ulterior motive of playing with it yourself?
Yeah, sure. Why not? You got some traffic going on. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Especially my kid, like I would, we'd be in the toy store and side note, I never thought anything would be more joyous than buying a toy for yourself, but buying a toy for your kid is one of the best experiences. It's so easy to like spoil your kids because it brings you so much joy to see the joy it gives them. But I would definitely steer him like, hey man, what do you think? This one's cool, man. This one's really cool. Because I knew that I would get home, he'd go to bed, and I would, pop it out and play around with it.
Have you ever purchased a vintage toy for your kids because you thought it would be fun for them based on your own preferences?
No, and I guess the reason why is I was like, hey buddy, you want to watch this show that Daddy used to watch as a kid? And he's like, yeah. So I put on Masters of the Universe, and it was awful. It's like, Daddy, you watch this? I was like, dude, it was amazing when I was a kid. I don't know, like, so like I kind of want to keep something special in my mind, I guess now, because it's kind of like when you try to go watch an episode of Saved by the Bell now, and why did I like this shit? This is horrible. And so, some things just need to be sacred.
Yeah, it's as someone who has run a separate podcast from ToyCast, the Powers of Grayskull series for the last 10 years, we've reviewed every single episode of both Filmation series, The New Adventures of He-Man, the 2002 series, and now we just finished up our Revelation stuff last month when Revelation hit Netflix. And some of those episodes in Filmation do not, and I am a firm believer, certain things don't hold up. They're not supposed to. You're supposed to think of them as the time that they were being made. So the first season of He-Man released in October of 83, which means it was being made in the fall, winter, spring of 81, 82 kind of thing or whatever. So, right. I look at it in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Do you do any toy modifications or customs, painting, that kind of stuff?
No. That it would not end well. I buy toys that are completed because I am not an artist.
Do you think toy companies should specifically have adult collector toys, child toys, or find a way to mix both?
I just think a toy should be a toy. If you want to collect it and keep it in the packaging, great. If your kids want to play with it, great. Like if you tell me something's a collectible, it's no longer a collectible. So I don't want to see Masters of the Universe collectible figure. Like, no, I'll decide if it's collectible or not. So I think just let a toy be a toy.
I'm checking my Baroness packaging to make sure it doesn't. Oh, the only thing it says is collect them all. It doesn't say it's an actual collectible. Okay. Funko Pops are not collectible, folks.
They do say on some on the back, collect them all. So yes. I understand that's a sales pitch.
I'm pretty sure you don't at this point, but do you have a my parents got rid of my toys story?
Yeah, of course, man. I don't have any of my G.I. Joe's or original Star Wars toys anymore. Gone. I mean, everything. Teddy Ruxpin. I mean, it's all gone. And then, I understand that's why they're worth so much, because everybody got rid of them.
Yep. Outside of the business, because the business is what the business is, do you feel you are coming to an end of your active collecting? If so, what has signified this phase for you? Was there ever a moment where you were done with toys? Have you ever considered stopping as a collector or even selling your whole collection?
No, hell no. But I have also studied, because, being in the business of selling these things to people, I used to get anxiety that this was all about to end. And then I'll bet, what am I going to do? So I've come up with a theory of the life cycle of a collector. You got the new one, just starts out. They get anything and everything. And when someone comes to my store and I'm like, what do you collect? And they say, oh, man, just, a little bit of everything. I'm like, oh, gosh, this ain't going to last. They're like, anything and everything. Just get. These are cool. That's fine. But you're going to have to come to a point where you say, I need to refine this and only collect what I truly like, because you're not going to last unless you do that. With anything, you're going to wake up, I have too much stuff. I have to get rid of it all. And then you have some resentment for these things because, you're trying to sell them all and you're not getting back what you put in. Or so like the life cycle is, once you feel overwhelmed and you don't refine and you just start getting rid of, like, that's when it's over for the collector. And so I always try to encourage, and even if it means less sales for me, I always try to encourage collectors to refine, focus in on what you love, because all of these things take up space, Yeah. Until we all fall in love with NFTs, these things take up space. And so, yeah. No, I was able to refine my collection. So I'm able to still be excited about new announcements, new releases, and still enjoy every aspect of it because I know what I collect and I'm not after the next shiny thing.
Yeah. That's like me with certain pops. Like, okay, take Masters of the Universe. I have one He-Man, I have one Skeletor. I have Terror Claws Skeletor.
Right.
Because not just because he's a Target exclusive, but because he's metallic. He reminds me of the old action figure that I had.
Yeah.
I have Slime Pit He-Man. Again, not because he was a convention, whatever, shared, whatever, exclusive of Funko, but because I had the Slime Pit as a kid. I hated the Slime Pit as a kid because I always had to clean it up, and my mom ended up yelling at me and grounding me when she had to clean it up. So I'm like, oh, Funko Pop, Slime Pit He-Man, it's green translucent with red eyes, fine, great. And I have Adam and Randor, and that's essentially my Masters section of Funko. I don't necessarily need... I think I have Evelyn back in... I don't remember what I have back in storage. I'd have to look at the Funko app to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. What is something that does not have a toy of it you'd love to have in toy form?
Ooh. Something, oh man. That's going to take some thought. I mean, the holy grail for my business would be Nintendo Pops.
Oh, you're from your lips to Funko and Nintendo's ears, but Nintendo is too interested in their damn amiibos.
Yeah, I guarantee you Funko's reached out many times.
They've even said it on several videos and streams and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's like the holy grail. It used to be The Office, and then we got them.
Yeah.
So, and then specifically, I want to see like WrestleMania moments. You know, either pops or other things. I would just reliving moments. I think is kind of the next thing. Like nostalgia is cool, but like reliving nostalgic moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be very powerful. So I would love to see them start trying to go that route a little bit.
I mean, they do have some pop moments, and I know they just released.
Yeah, the ring.
Was it Stone Cold with the ring? Yeah.
Stone Cold versus The Rock. That's what got me so excited because I was like,
Here
we go. We can do this, guys. We can do it.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how they could pull off showing Macho Man on the top rope about to do an elbow with Steamboat on the ground. Like, that might be tough, but hey, I want them to give it a shot.
Yeah, it would kind of have to be like that Seinfeld diorama where the pops are essentially, you know, I don't want to say glued in, but basically molded into the thing, and it would be weird.
Yep.
So this next question comes from the Pull Bag, our comic podcast, where the origins actually started. Basically over there, the question is, what is one thing in a comic book that you'd love to have in real life? So for the easiest example is Jon Stewart's ring. You know, the Green Lantern ring. You'd love to have that and the powers with, you know, so basically this is, what is a toy you'd love to have scaled up and functional for real people?
Legos. We could all live happily ever after.
Yeah, housing costs would go way down if we could just build all the homes out of Legos.
Way down. I've recently got big into Legos with me and my daughter. We're building a Disney castle right now, and we do one bag every night before bed. And it's just like, obviously I cherish it, and I hope she does too. But I think, golly, if they could scale up Legos, can you just imagine how, oh man, it could be awesome.
It would be awesome. How has your wife dealt with your collection?
She accepted it when it started making us money. I can tell you that. She wasn't a fan at first. I used to try to hide what I got. I was like, oh crap, I gotta hide this. But she always found out. But yeah, as soon as I was like, look, this is we're doing okay, and and she gets excited about some things too now. It's fun to see her kind of geek out a little bit over some things.
Yeah, and again, that's the coolest thing about Funko specifically is that because they have their pop line specifically in so many different things, there's something for everybody. Like,
taglines, everyone's a fan of something.
Yep, absolutely. Toy collecting can have its struggles. What is one aspect you tend to struggle with the most?
Okay, so one aspect I struggle with collecting, is that what the question is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like I kind of solved that with the
with the business.
Yeah, I feel like I solved trying to be a completionist. I was able to say I'm only going to collect this based out of this. I think that was probably one of my biggest struggles at first was trying to catch them all, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably most people's biggest struggle as well.
What is one positive and one negative memory you have with buying toys?
Oh, the positive memories will always be either buying it, with my kids or for my kids. And then also at Poppin Off Toys, we have a saying, people over pops. And so I give my employees permission to give away a pop every single day. And so we listen for stories. We get to know our customers so we can kind of meet them where they are. I mean, earlier this week, I had a guy come in and he's going through a breakup with his boyfriend, and he's distraught, and I'm listening to him. But then later on in the conversation, he mentioned that, like, man, I was really wanting to get that Miguel soda. And I walk in the back, and I had one, a common, and walk up front like, here you go, man. Yeah, this is for you. And he's just genuinely touched. So like I live for those moments where you can kind of meet somebody where they are and give them a little bit of joy with nostalgia and pop culture. Love. Negative would be buying that pop for $500.
Yeah, what a loss that was, wasn't it?
That was a big one.
Yeah. If you could create any toy from any company, like basically the companies give you the keys to the kingdom, what would you want to create?
I mean, if I'm talking about what I think would be most popular, I'm making Nintendo Bops. Breaking it in. That's like the question, like, when you get your exclusive, what do you want to be from? And I'm like, whatever's the most popular right now, But if, for me, specifically and selfishly, I'm probably going to go for something that like a line that I've enjoyed with my family,
Right.
And try to do something with that. So Keys to the Kingdom, family wise, it'd probably be a movie that we all enjoyed and loved and cherished together. If it's just me, I'm going for probably the wrestling moments from when I was a kid.
Very cool. Very cool. What is the one piece of advice you would give the toy collecting fandom?
I've already said it. It would be to focus. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The businesses you're buying these from, understand that they're a business and they exist to make money. They are not going to stop because you feel like you've got them all. So you have to focus to keep this fun and engaging.
Absolutely. What is advice you'd give to kids who enjoy toys?
Be a kid. I mean, rip open the box. Don't worry about what's going to happen 30 years in the future. Be a kid. Enjoy the moment. With all these LGN figures I have, mint on card, they're worth a lot of money. But I would never trade my memories for having those mint on the card right now, ever. So my biggest advice is just have fun, play with them, come up with the most crazy imaginary stories you could possibly tell, because that's going to serve you better in the future than just having it displayed on your wall waiting for money to pop out of them.
Absolutely. All right, sir. Why don't you plug the business for those people in Nashville who are actually might actually hear this and want to stop into the shop?
Yeah, hey, if you're in Nashville or anywhere around, you can come to 5916 Charlotte Pike. It's Poppin Off Toys. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5. And for everyone else out there listening, poppinofftoys.com is open 24 hours a day, and we ship every day of the week except Sunday.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for joining us here on ToyCast. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on this and all of our other content. Send any email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Here are all the ways you can listen to us nowadays: Apple and Google Podcasts. Leave us reviews, please. Spotify and any other podcatching client you choose to use. Follow us on Twitter. Poppin Off Toys is not on Twitter yet. Come on.
We are. Poppin Off Toys. We're on Twitter.
About time.
I know it.
Last time I talked to you, you were like, I can't handle one more social network.
It's true. I'm a marketing guy now.
There you go. All right. At Poppin Off Toys on Twitter for them. At Geekcast Radio for the other network stuff. At TF ToyCast for the show. I am at TFG and Mike. Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. You can also check out TF ToyCast over there, as well as Poppin Off Toys. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Wes Howard from Poppin Off Toys.
Join us next time when we will be talking more toys here on ToyCast.